Hey team, this is the off-season brought to you by the Wests Group, Newcastle and the Hunters, one-of-a-kind dining and entertainment venue. We've got a special show coming up for you next week, answering some of your questions about the Knights in 2026. So much intrigue ahead of the next season. We can't wait to get stuck into that. But this week, Lincoln, well, the rugby league season is officially over for 2025.
What a year it was, Scotty. I know we picked up the wooden spoon, but I tell you what, the international footy was a nice little cherry on top, wasn't it? But yeah, no more until, trials football in February. What are we going to do? Plenty still to talk about, though, right?
It feels weird. I mean, the Aussies 3-0 winners over England. Gillaroos wiped the floor with the competition as well. And New Zealand and Dylan Brown, who's coming to the club next year, victors in the Pacific Championships.
Oh, yeah, mate. And I tell you what, international football, it's just the next frontier for rugby league. Like we haven't even really cracked it yet, and you can just see the appetite. I cannot wait for the World Cup in 2027.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I think there's
26.
In 26. There's a lot to get excited about for next year, isn't there? It is going to be great, and I just think we're building really nicely into international footy next year in that World Cup in Australia. It is going to be awesome. But mate, if I hear R360 one more friggin' time, I might jump off the Harbour Bridge. I don't know about you, but I'm sick to death of hearing it. Are they even targeting any rugby players to play this damn thing?
Doesn't look like it. It's a pretty good question, actually. I haven't heard a thing about them looking at any Wallabies players or Super Rugby, whatever. They sort of seem to have their sights purely set on rugby league players at this point, but you're right. It's just the noise that won't go away. They keep popping their head up. But yeah, as you said, look, the international calendar has been absolutely superb. I want to ask you, Scotty, because I put it out to the battlers. I tell you what, who do you think, if they played this weekend, the Kiwis, the Pacific Championship winning Kiwis taking on the Ashes winning Kangaroos tomorrow, who wins?
Well, they've done it before, and I'd give the Kiwis a very good chance. I think the way that they play, the connection that they have together as a team, they're not as clunky as us. I mean, we are very good, but, geez, the Kiwis look good in the Pac Champs, and I'd give them a bloody good shout to beat us if they played us tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, they played some, let's be honest, they did play better opposition in the Samoans. I know England were, unfortunately, they were pretty poor, weren't they? They weren't the best opposition to play. But, yeah, they look in sync. That forward pack, absolutely, they're going to be the most dominant pack, like in the modern era. That Kiwi forward pack, it is absolutely killer. And then sprinkle the class of Dylan Brown in there. I think they would absolutely. Unfortunately, I think they would get it over the Kangaroos, mate. I really do.
Yeah, me too. And it gives us a little insight, and we'll talk about it later in the show about what we can look forward to with Dylan in behind a really great forward pack, which is what he had there in New Zealand. Mate, now the pressure's off though. If you could take yourself off anywhere on holiday around the world, and we know you're going to Vegas for round one, but where would you go on holidays if you could have your pick?
Oh, I tell you what, the sporting calendar in the States is well and truly going. Huge NFL fan, mate. Take me over to the East Coast. Let's go to the Big Apple. Spend a bit of time there. Go down to MetLife Stadium. Go watch the Giants and our rookie QB Jackson Dart absolutely light it up over there. A little bit of a change in temperature. You know, I'm not a big cold sort of guy, but you know what? Dip my toes in there. Maybe a little bit of a white Christmas. I think that'd be
the best.
Have you been?
I flew in a long time ago into New York on Boxing Day and had end of Christmas, New Year's Eve. You can't beat it in New York. It's bloody freezing, but it is an unbelievable experience. And if you could throw some sport in there too, how good. For me, I'd love to go. I'd love to go to Italy again. It's unbelievable. But the last time I went, I saw a Serie D Italia Cup game, which is like watching like park footy in, I don't know, Curry or, down on the lakes or something in Lake Macquarie, like pretty average soccer. You got Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. This is like League Two in Italy. So if I could go to one of the big teams, to one of those big grounds in Italy, go and see Roma play, or maybe Bologna, it would be unbelievable. That's probably where I'd go. But then again, mate, you can't beat an island holiday. Like, take me to Fiji or Hawaii any day.
Yeah, I'm with you in Hawaii, mate. Maybe I tell you what, this time next year, off-season coming. Maybe we'll do a little season session over in Honolulu, hey?
Well, Paddy Mills, the Australian basketballer, he's now the general manager of the college team at Hawaii University.
Oh, what a gig, huh? Belly on his feet there, Paddy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's just got a passion for it. He loves playing, loves teaching, and he's actually had a house on the North Shore on the Big Island there. On the main island in Hawaii for like 10 years, and he spent most of his off seasons there. So he's got a connection. Originally, Torres Strait Islander boy, so he feels at home there. But man, what a gig! I mean, coaching basketball and basically running the team like Peter Parr does for us for the Hawaiian college team. That'd be pretty bloody cool. All right, hey, we've talked enough about that. Let's have a look at what's happening in the off season right after this.
I'm here with Knights player Tyson Gamble. Tyson, you bring a bit of heat on the field. What about off it?
Mate, I like my pork ribs like my footy, fired up and full of bite.
Then you'll love T-Bones Tex-Mex at West Cardiff, open Tuesday to Saturday from 5 p.m. Big ribs, grilled steaks, bold Mexican flavours.
That's my kind of lineup.
Or if you're after something easy, the bistro's open every day for lunch and dinner.
Might try and tackle them both.
Search West Cardiff for big feeds, bold flavour.
We're back with the off-season, Lincoln, and there's going to be plenty of competition in the halves for the Newcastle Knights next year. Sandon Smith says that he's coming to the club to play first grade and he doesn't want to be a utility.
I love this, Scotty. I love it when these players come out, make a statement and want to back themselves. Yeah, it's so hotly contested. We are going to be talking about the Newcastle Knights spine for 2026 plenty of times, I'm sure. But yeah, I love this. For him to come out and say, no, that's what I want. That's what I'm striving for. This is my opportunity to get it. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's fantastic. I love that there's hot competition for these places. They're going to make each other better. That is for sure and certain. He said this week, I can play hooker if required, but I want to be in the halves week in, week out. I will compete. It's a goal for me to wear that number 7 jumper. It'll definitely be a challenge, but that's where I want to mature and grow into a halfback role. I feel I can do that at a high level, and with the progression of Dylan Brown, I feel like the 7 role is not only the best fit for me, but it's the best fit for the team. Which is really interesting. He's obviously already thinking about not just himself, but how he can fit in.
Yeah, and I'm sure, look, there's going to be plenty of motivation, isn't he? I know he was displaced, the worst kept secret in the world, Daly Cherry Evans going to the Roosters. He's going to want to make a name for himself, and talking to a lot of Roosters supporters, they love Sandon Smith. Very versatile football player. I akin him very similar to that of a Connor Watson. Look, still 22 years of age, still plenty of development there. And there's a lot of people that are very, very keen for Sandon to be our number 7 next year. I know I was championing the cause for Fletcher Sharp, but look, that was prior to us even looking at Sandon Smith, which sort of really came out of nowhere for us. So I'm with you, Scotty. Look, iron sharpens iron, pal, and pressure for positions and that competition to win that spot is only going to better our team. It's just going to be very interesting to see where Justin Holbrook lands.
Yeah, and another number 7 this week has been really talking up the Newcastle Knights and Dylan Brown off the back of the Pacific Championships and his performance there. Did you see what Sean Johnson said this week? Really incredible. He reckons that he's got to be the Golden Boot winner and said, player of the match 3 games in a row. He also went on and said that, he thought that Dylan Brown, in that test series was so clear in his role, playing with complete confidence. He's not thinking, he's just doing. Well, I mean, it's pretty high praise.
Oh, absolutely, Scotty. Like this is what it does. The money brings pressure, the move brings opportunity, and the criticism brings nothing but motivation. And there's a great saying, why does pressure create diamonds, Scotty? And that is just what we saw with Dylan Brown. Look, there was a lot of criticism around this guy. Everyone was, this guy ain't worth it. Even Parramatta supporters were trying to gaslight us right from the get-go, going, this guy ain't worth that, blah, blah, blah. But I tell you what, this guy is primed, ready to go. Said it so many times. He hasn't even hit his peak yet. He's coming to that ripe age. That 24, turning 25 age is just the golden era. That's when they really start to come into their own, these halves. And you're right, he just does. He doesn't think, he just does. And confidence, as Sean Johnson alluded to so many times, I think, mate, he's going to take this opportunity to be the guy, the franchise player for the Newcastle Knights for the next decade. and he's going to run with it. He's a big game player. I'm so incredibly excited to see Dylan Brown lift his game. I know he's going to do it. I have all the faith in the world. I just can't wait to see it unfold.
Even before this test series, I mean, we'd bought a guy who played for his country, played in the grand final, played alongside a great half in Mitchell Moses, and had a great connection there. You've got to remember Parramatta since that grand final in 2023 have been pretty crap. They haven't been good. They've sort of fallen on hard times. I think they're on the up now and will play better under Riles next year. But he hasn't been in a really high-performing team. So, the criticism that came his way was pretty unfair. And like you say, coming into his prime, only just turned 25. And he's shown what he can do in this test series, which we've talked about a lot on this show. Sean Johnson, said in his podcast this week, Newcastle fans, get excited. You just got a glimpse of what your boy is going to do for the next 10 years. And look, we're excited. And we're going to pick that apart even more next week when we have a look at our spine and go a little bit more in depth on how the coach might put the team together in 2026. He's made the long list. This is the long short list, as it was announced, for the Golden Boot, which the winner is named in December. I won't run through all the names, but there's a few good ones there that he's going to be competing with for that title. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but it is for form and performance in the end of season test matches. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion around what the Golden Boot is. I know the criteria changed about 10 years ago. This is purely nothing but international rugby league. So I think regular NRL season is completely out the window. It's got nothing to do with rounds 1 to 27.
Yeah.
It's purely, yes, as you said, representative rugby league football. Who is the most consistent, best performing player in the arena postseason? Yes.
And there's about 20 names on the list. Angus Crichton's there, who's probably my pick from the Australian team. I thought he played really, really well for the Aussies. Harry Grant's there. He was man of the match in the third test. And, of course, he also stepped in as captain in the first test when Isaiah Yeo went off injured in the first couple of minutes. Cameron Munster is on that list. He was player of the series for the Aussies. Reece Walsh is there too. But, I mean, it's really probably between Dylan Brown and either Harry Grant or Cameron Munster, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think had of Walsh played a really good game 2, he would have been right up there. But game 1 he was on fire. He brought that grand final form. Game 3 bagged a couple of tries as well. But game 2, he pretty much went missing. He statistically wasn't great. Where Dylan Brown, he said all 3 games against much better opponents. Cameron Munster got the man of the series. So that, I think, just by virtue, that would rule out Reece Walsh. In that tournament, they didn't even think he was the best. So I can't see him winning the Golden Boot. Harry Grant, yeah, he was superb. Game 3, he kind of warmed into it. I felt like each game he got a little bit better. I thought he was absolutely best on field for the Kangaroos game 3. I didn't mind the little smoky of Payne Haas. I know he hasn't got the huge highlight packages, the try assist and all that, but mate, to continually turn up this bloke has just played an enormous season. And we know the motor on the guy, and he's just backing it up once more.
I remember, though, wasn't he 6 weeks ago? He was 8 weeks ago coming into finals. Remember how battered and bashed up he was? He played through Origin with that calf issue. I think he had some lower back issues after Origin coming into the finals for the Broncos. And like you said, he got on with it. He did his rehab. He got himself sorted. And has been an absolute gun right throughout this season. I mean, you're right. He should be a smoky. I'd love to see, I don't know about you, but I'd love to see an award where we can, at the end of the season, say who the best player is, male and female, in rugby league based on the whole year. That's what I remember it to be from when I was growing up, and it would be hard to come up with a fair system for testing that, I know. There aren't any English players in this list at all for the Golden Boot, which is a little surprising, but it'd be great to kind of have something that really, I feel like, has even higher status in the game than what this does. I mean, it's a great little award, and it's a great way to mark who played well across, a few test matches at the end of the season. But wouldn't it be good to? I remember Darren Lockyer winning it, and there were some other players, back prior to that when it was first brought in, when they won that award, and it just seemed so cool to be like the best player in rugby league for that year, and I'd love to see that come back again.
Yeah, I think as the game sort of globalizes and the more competitions interact, I'm with you, Scotty. I think it's important to recognise the best in the world, unequivocally voted by their peers or panel, whatever the scoring system may be. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like that would be pretty cool.
I think it'd create even more conversation too. I mean, I think, Dylan Brown is a standout here and maybe Harry Grant or Cam Munster, but it feels a little bit flippant to give an award. I'd love to see something that was a bit bigger than that over the course of the year. Brady Best during the week was on Instagram. He posted some highlights from his trip to the UK, of course, where he was effectively one of the emus. He didn't play. He might as well have added a tear emoji on his post because he didn't get a run for the Kangaroos. And I really do feel for him and the other 5 or 6 boys that didn't. I do think it's a missed opportunity. We touched on this last week. Who did we want to see in that third test? You really made the case for Bradman last week and what he could bring to that Kangaroos side to really rip and tear on that left-hand side. But I think it's a really big missed opportunity because, as you said, the World Cup's on next year in Australia, and we didn't really test any other combinations. All we did was pick and stick the same 17 or 18 blokes. They did okay. They didn't set the world on fire against England. And I feel like maybe it's a case of, a missed opportunity where we didn't test players like Bradman Best and Mitchell Moses and young Ethan Strange, who don't get the experience of playing with some of those other players and making connection and forming combinations ahead of that World Cup.
Yeah, I thought it was bizarre from Kevy. Look, I copped an absolute bashing for it. And look, it's no knock on Germart Shibasaki. He had a tremendous season. He didn't do necessarily anything wrong. I just thought, you're right, Scotty. It looked incredibly clunky. You wouldn't say any of the back line. Reece Walsh sort of had he was lighting it up. And Fox had a really good game 3, getting a couple of tries. But, yeah, both Katoni Staggs and Germart Shibasaki, you sort of forgot they were over on the field for a lot of it. So I thought, yeah, you've wrapped it up. Let's be honest, Scotty. It wouldn't matter who we played where against that English team. We were going to win. Like, you could come in and name Big Tino at halfback, and we would still win that game. Like, it is what it is. So I don't think there was any threat of us losing the dead rubber. Even if we had have lost the dead rubber, nothing chance, nothing gain. So I'm with you. I thought it was a real missed opportunity. You're not going to get another opportunity to sort of gauge where players might fit before we move into a World Cup. I've got some real reservations if Kevy's the guy. If we're rolling in with this kind of form once more back home in Australia in a World Cup against a red-hot Kiwis team, I can guarantee you Tonga are going to get their stuff sorted. Samoa are going to get their stuff sorted. I can't say too much, but I don't know where England are going to sit in all this, but we're going to need to be a lot better, much better.
And it's possible that Tino may not be playing for Australia come the World Cup as well. So there's some issues there, and I really feel like there was a lot of pressure on Kevy. This is his first coaching job off the back of getting dumped by the Broncos. He's talked this week about wanting to be a career coach, and I feel like the third test was really like him making a point about what type of coach he wants to be, but also him really needing to get the win. He would have absolutely been hammered had the Aussies not won that series 3-0 based on the opposition, and I guess he didn't want to break a winning formula. So I can kind of understand it, but it kind of sucks a little bit as well. I think we've missed an opportunity there, and I think he's maybe just played it a bit too safe and played it a little bit for himself. He wouldn't admit to that. He's there to win games for the country. I understand it. I didn't love the chat about, we don't give jerseys away. To me, if you're on the tour, you're a Kangaroo and you've got every right to play. I don't think it's not like we're calling up blokes who are, on holiday in Hawaii or Fiji and saying, come and have a game, mate. You're talking about 6 guys who've gone on the tour, who've trained, who have prepared for playing for Australia. You're not giving them a jersey. It's not something you're just like dropping off to your mate. It's that they've earned the right to be there, and I think they've earned the right to play. So I was a bit disappointed by that, and hopefully either under Kevy or under another coach in the World Cup, we pick the right players that can win games, but we also make the best of what we've gotten. And Bradman and Mitchell Moses, some others missing out on that is a fail for me. Now we've also heard a little bit more this week from Jessie Southwell about her move to Brisbane. And I do think it's something that we can all relate to. You've got to remember she's only 20 years old, and she's talked about wanting to be able to stretch more and to learn more, and needing to step away from the comfort of her hometown and her family. And I don't think that's necessarily like a reference to the Knights. I think she's sort of thinking more about her personal situation in the way that she described it. And I think that's understandable. As a young person, She's been at the Knights for 3 or 4 seasons, and I think I can understand. Like when I was mid-late 20s, I moved to England for a couple of years, and that was a great experience. That was something I wanted to do. Now she's obviously moving away from home a little younger than what I did, but I think more power to her. She's got her career is only going to be sort of 13, 14, 15 years. She's probably going to want a mix of experiences. So I can understand that. And she sort of shed a little bit more light on that this week. She's also said, mate, that she's keeping a bit of an open mind about going back to rugby some stage, which would be interesting.
Okay. Well, look, I hope that is true. I hope that is the case. I hope there hasn't been, anything sinister or bad blood between the club and Jessie, and she just wanted to get out of there. We would love to have her make her triumphant return. I think we all kind of saw a little bit of Joey Johns in Jessie Southwell. She just seemed like she loved her henny penny chips, and she just bled Newcastle, and that's what made it so strange seeing her in anything else other than a Knights jersey. So, look, it's happened so many times before. Dominic Young is a prime example. He's a guy we loved, went to the roof. Dane Gagai, exactly, came back to us. So, look, never say never. I hope that is true. I hope, and I'm sure, the Knights would open her with open arms had that opportunity come. But I guess, the silver lining is we got a gun like Kira Dibb coming to the club. Yeah, well, she's going to get her opportunity. She was a loved player. I love watching Kira Dibb. I think she's an absolute weapon. But, it's going to be interesting to see that. It's going to be a very interesting to see where the Knights can they improve on their 2025 campaign against, the Broncos are going to be their team to beat. The Roosters are going to be there too, but they're going to have the target on their back. Absolutely.
And are you going to be doing some more on the NRLW next year?
Absolutely, yes, mate. The NRLW wrap-up, we'll be doing that every Wednesday, breaking down the girls. But we loved having our female guests on. We had obviously Yazzy's favourite with the Battlers. Livia Higgins, she's more than keen to come back. I know Rima Butler, she was an absolute blast to have on there as well.
Yeah, so she was great. Love that episode.
The girls I've come on, and it ties in perfectly because they come to us live from the Centre of Excellence. It's when they're on training. So it kind of works really, really well. I feel bad for them sometimes because they're absolutely knackered and they're still in their training kit and here they are talking to me. But, plenty to look forward to in our NRLW season, mate, for sure.
They juggle a lot. I wish they were able to be paid more and we'll see that over time. But gee, a lot of them work hard and do the extras, and coming on to shows like yours is fantastic, and we'll see some more of that. Of course, as we said earlier, the season's over, and we can start to take a break, but also look ahead to 2026. And mate, it's time to start planning for Vegas. The Knights are going to be kicking off the season big time in 2026, playing North Queensland Cowboys in that big game over in the US. And I know you've started to plan your trip and think about things. Firstly, how are you feeling about going over there to watch them in Allegiant Stadium?
Oh, mate, I think it's just perfect timing. I think what better way to put the horrible season that was 2025 behind us, particularly the last 2 months, right? We've got the big Dill Brown. He's going to win the Golden Boot. Let's just call it. He's going to win the Golden Boot. He's come to the club. KP's back. Lucas is back. Sharp's back. What a way for all of us to kick it off with the Knights going to Vegas. I think it's just the perfect way to shine a light on our 2026 campaign. Justin Holbrook, his first game. I think it's come at a perfect time for a Scotty, truly.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know you posted on social media about, your plans, and you were sort of throwing it out there to some of the battlers, asking about, whether they're going and what they're doing, and people who've had experiences, over the last couple of years going to Vegas to watch the NRL there. What sort of feedback are you getting, about buying tickets and flights, and what sort of tips are you getting?
Plenty of tips, mate. I've got to go through them. Like, I'm not a very well-traveled person, Scotty. I'm very much a novice when it comes to traveling abroad.
Okay, do you have a passport?
I have a passport. I've ticked we've got that much, all right? So, yes. As far as everything else, mate, I'm going in completely blind. So, look, that's my homework to do. I've been absolutely swamped, so I need to sink my teeth into it. Get my tickets, accommodation, work out what's going on where. I'm going to reach out to a couple of boys that I know have been over there in the past couple of years, kind of get a bit of gauge, go, how they, what would they do differently? Give me a bit of a heads up and whatnot. Get a bit of an itinerary together.
How long are you going to go for?
Another great question, Scotty. How long does the thing go for? I really don't.
It's not that far away.
I know it's not. I know it's a last minute Lincoln, mate. They call me that for a reason.
Okay, I'm going to remember that one. But
yeah.
You're going to have to start getting it, mate. Honestly, I have got a serious case of OCD, just generally speaking, and I reckon if I was going and I'd left it this late to even start thinking about it, I'd be having kittens. Honestly, mate, I couldn't cope. My wife would just be, she'd be kicking me out of the house because I'd just be in such a tiz. I don't know how you are even going to cope, honestly, at this point. But you've got a passport, tick. That's one thing. Don't forget to get your visa for the US, and you need to do that well in advance. That's another one. Don't forget that. And then I think there's so many accommodation options there. You'll be fine. You'll find something soon. Do you think you're going to book sort of things independently, or are you looking at those NRL package deals that they're marketing?
I don't know. I got sort of told two different things. I think some people say go with it. Some people go, no, I don't know. I sort of stayed away from that. So, don't know. I think it maybe the latter, maybe give me a little bit of flexibility to sort of do my own thing, maybe. So
that's true. I mean, it's I guess it's a bit of column A, bit of column B, right? It's like it would be easy to do that, but then you've also, you're a bit special. You're going to maybe be doing some things in advance, or maybe get there a couple of days early. You can maybe do some live streaming or make some content. So you need to allow time for that as well. So mate, that's and I think it'd be good to start getting some tips from people as well about food and how to do all that stuff there too, because the Vegas, I haven't been, but it's a whole other beast to places that I've been in the US, and you've really got your choice for just about everything that you could want to eat, drink, see, do while you're there. So I'm sure you'll get some more tips coming through in the coming weeks. It's the Knights and the Cowboys.
As long as it's good coffee, that's all I want. If someone can give me a good I'll be happy. If I go to Vegas and I don't have a good cup of coffee for a few days, I'm going to be cranky, mate.
You can get. Do you mean like do you have like a espresso, like a milk coffee? Do you mean, or like any coffee?
Oh, mate, I'm a coffee snob hard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, big oat latte kind of a guy.
Okay, well, good luck. I don't know what the coffee's like in Vegas. It's been a bit hit and miss when I've been to the US. Sometimes you can get a great one, but often not. There's this really cool product that you can get from an Aussie company called Single O. They actually make these. They're kind of like tea bags, but for coffee. And so they roast it themselves, you basically get these bags, and you pour the hot water into it, and it like drips through the bag into like your coffee cup. So you could add milk to that and take some of those, and at least know you're going to get something that tastes half decent. But I'm sure you'll find something over there. There's enough Aussies that travel over there. You'll find somewhere that does some good coffee. Did you know as well that the ice hockey team there is called the Knights, the Las Vegas Knights?
I was actually thinking about I might reach out to them and go, you know what, you want this Aussie, Knights podcaster over here? Let's link up. Let's do something. So I'm with you, Scotty. I think that'd be a nice little bit of synergy between our two teams. If I can extend the olive branch, I'd love to go to an ice hockey game. I'm pretty sure Yazzie actually, when she was over there, I'm pretty sure she said she went to the NHL game over there. So
yeah, right.
I'd have to look that up on the calendar as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun for sure. There's quite a few big sports franchises there in Vegas, and obviously the Newcastle Knights coming to be part of that too. I'm sure as you firm up your plans over the coming weeks, you can talk some more here about what your streaming and podcasting and live activities are going to be, and for people to come and meet you and see you and hang out while you're there as well. Of course, it's Saturday the 28th of February, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The Knights and the Cowboys, the Dragons and the Bulldogs, and Hull KR and Leeds Rhinos. 3 very big games and a lot of fun in round 1. We also know, mate, that there are some pretty juicy matchups in the rest of the first round of the year, which will follow that weekend in Vegas. Parramatta go to Melbourne, where Jonah Pezzett is going to be facing his old club, and the Raiders will play Manly, where Jamal Fogarty is going from Canberra to replace DCE on the Northern Peninsula.
Yeah, mate, the scripts keep writing themselves. The poor old Eels. If there's one team you do not want to play in round 1, it's the Melbourne Storm. But, the other one.
Second year in a row.
Crazy, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Jason Ryles obviously coming from the Storm as well. There'd be something in it for him trying to get one over his old mentor, Craig Bellamy. They finished the season really strong. I would not write them off. And, the Storm, unfortunately, they sort of were pretty disappointing in the grand final. So, look, if that's any indication to go by, Parramatta's got all the momentum coming into this. So, that'd be a juicy clash up, that one. I think the Eels are going to surprise a lot of people in 26.
Oh, me too. I think they'll be really good, and that'll be a great game to watch. Also, we learnt this week that Magic Round, which is at your local backyard there up in Brisbane, the Knights are going to be playing the Titans, which is an interesting matchup. I think the last time you watched the Knights at the Titans in person, it wasn't a great experience. They flogged us, but. Maybe something a little better in 2026. We've got a pretty good record at Magic Round. I think, am I right? We've only lost one game at Magic Round?
Correct, Scotty. That's right. And we actually did beat the Titans in 2024. So we towelled up the Rabbitohs this year. Season prior, the Titans are still screaming that they were robbed. Albert Kelly drops the ball over the line in the dying seconds. Could have clinched a victory. Didn't happen. Certainly a tale of two halves. I think we put 24 unanswered points on them. They nearly came back and beat us. So we have got that on them. I know we've got a horrible record against the Titans. But we have got that on him at Magic Round. But again, Justin Holbrook going against his old club there. The narratives keep going.
Two coaches.
And we're going to get to it in a little bit, but certainly a lot of buzz getting around the Titans at the moment. So I think it's going to be a juicy matchup.
Well, let's do that now, because sports franchises are big bickies these days, and we've heard a fair bit the last couple of weeks about Matty and Trish Johns, who've bought into the Gold Coast. Now, I've done some sums. If the Broncos are worth $127 million, their worth has gone up dramatically since they won the grand final. They're, of course, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, and people have been investing big time. But you'd think that the Titans would be hard pushed to be worth about a fifth of that at best. So you would think that Matty and Trish have probably invested around $2 million for a minority shareholding, right? So they're in there now. There are a few others of note where big names have bought into big teams. Ryan Reynolds, of course, is a big one. He's taken the Welsh team Wrexham from non-league football to the Championship, which is just one rung below the Premier League in English football. They've been promoted 3 seasons in a row, which is pretty bloody incredible. Have you seen Welcome to Wrexham?
I haven't. It's been on the calendar, mate. I've had it down to try and watch that for so long. But, maybe some inspiration taken from Ryan Reynolds on this one, because I'm hoping, I'm sure hoping Matty's thinking I can have this similar kind of injection, a little bit of that celebrity status pushed behind a rugby league club could elevate him. I'm sure that's what they're wanting.
It's a little bit like Jesse Southwell going to the Broncos on me for this, but I like that he's investing in the game. That is nice. Ryan Reynolds has also invested in F1, the Alpine team, with Travis Kelce from the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Rory McIlroy, the golfer. They're all in a consortium, and they've got a minority sharing in the F1 Alpine team.
How do they go? I did not know that. Are they any good?
They're like mid to bottom of the pack at the moment. They are struggling a bit, but next year it's kind of all cards back on the table in Formula One, because they've got a new set of rules and basically like brand new cars with brand new engineering for everybody coming in. They do this every 5 or so years, and that starts next year. So there's talk that Alpine could perform much, much better next year. Yeah. I haven't seen the same kind of sprinkling of like magic Hollywood dust on their team with their sort of content and their story and what they're doing, like Ryan has done with Wrexham, which is phenomenal. I mean, he has brought so much other money and sponsorship to that club, and really reinvigorated the town off the back of their on-field success. And a lot of that's really just come from him and Rob McElhenney, who's the other co-investor from the other actor that's in that little consortium with him. It's basically just the two of them, and they've just done phenomenally there. Ed Sheeran, the singer, he is a minority owner of Ipswich Town, which is a championship team in England at the moment. They've played in the Premier League over the last couple of seasons, and he's been a major sponsor there for the last 3 years. And they've even had jerseys where they've sported some of his album titles, which are like, plus and multiply and divide and whatever, across here in the sponsor spot, which is really cool.
You have just solved a mystery that I cannot solve in Ipswich here, mate. There has been all of a sudden, I'm not even kidding you, I'm driving downtown, here is this massive painted mural of Ed Sheeran. So random. I'm just like, why have we got this huge
redhead
of Ed Sheeran? It's so weird. Now
there you go.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Right.
So he's never played a gig in Ipswich in Queensland, has he?
No. Well, I'm sure they'll be wanting him to if they're paying homage to him. But maybe the purchase of the Ipswich Town team over there has maybe inspired the local council to green light a huge. I'll have to send you a photo. It's weird. It's bizarre. Yeah, now it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, pop it up maybe pop up a story this week because I reckon that's a good one to share. I hadn't heard that, but that's pretty cool. The other one in Newcastle, which is really great, is the mural on the corner of Hunter Street and I'm going to get the cross street wrong, but the Pacific Highway. The mural that was done for Paul McCartney when he played in Newcastle. It's incredible, really quite big mural done by a local artist. Did an incredible job visualising some of his greatest hits with the Beatles and on his own. And he actually came to the mural and visited it. And I think he signed it and was photographed with it. It was unbelievable, and it's still there. It's a great kind of local piece of art there now in town, which I think is really great. Another celeb that's bought into a sports franchise, 7-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady has a share in another English football club, Birmingham in England. And there's actually a documentary out about this at the moment. It's called Built in Birmingham, Brady and the Blues, where he says that he wants to get the team out of the second tier and into the Premier League as soon as possible. Wayne Rooney was a coach there very briefly, I think, when Tom Brady came in as an owner there, but he didn't go very well. Great player, not a very good coach, poor old Wayne Rooney. But it is pretty interesting to see the move of like American celebrity dollars into English football. It is definitely happening more and more. The other one we know and love here is Russell Crowe, owned South Sydney for 20 years now. Yeah,
he was. I don't know if it was recent or not. I saw him talking to Joe Rogan about trying to explain. He was even talking about cricket and T20 cricket, but more so rugby league and the rules and how he really thinks the Americans would latch onto it even more so. Remember how I think it was the first Vegas game.
He voiced the promo on TV.
Yeah, that was so cool. So, certainly a little bit of celebrity dust. I'd like to see a little bit more of it, Scotty. I'd like to see some celebrities dip into their pockets. I know the first one that comes to my head, the Blue Wiggle, huge West Tiger supporter, massive.
Yes.
I think maybe
imagine if the Tigers ran out in blue skivvies.
There you go. Well, there isn't an orange. Is there an orange wiggle? There you go.
They could be the orange wiggles.
There you go. Marketing just writes itself, pal. So I'm all for it. I think a little bit of international celebrity buying into the NRL club.
Don't treat the football as hot potato.
No, definitely not. You know what?
There?
Yeah. I tell you what, if someone like Keanu Reeves just wants to slip, I don't know, a cheeky few $100 million into the Knights, I'm sure the West Group can probably pay with a couple of little shares here or there.
Absolutely.
Get Keanu up in stands at Mac Jones Stadium would be awesome, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Who's the? I'm going to forget his name. Morgan Evans, the country singer. I mean, he's doing all right.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'd work.
Because he of course wrote and performed the song that gets played after every win at the home ground, which I actually think is quite good. I often sing along to it when I'm there. I really like that. But he'd be doing okay. I mean, maybe he's ready to stump up some cash.
Yeah, let's do that. Because do you remember when there was that, before the Tinkler era, they were looking down that model at the Green Bay Packers where it's kind of public shares and they sell that. Remember when that would have been kind of interesting to see how that played out. But I'm with you. Let's get some Daniel Johns, another one. Surely he's doing well for himself. A 1997 cult hero, getting kidnapped by Joey. I'm sure he would want to buy into the club.
I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he's just listed his house, which is on just basically overlooking Merriweather Beach there. I mean, the value of that's surely enough for a minority stake in the Knights, isn't it?
Surely, mate. Surely.
Hey, if you had some cash available, and let's say we just exclude the Knights here, what brand or sports team do you reckon you'd want to invest in?
I think a $1 billion idea I would be investing in the Ipswich Jets, mate. I think it's only a matter of when, not if, they're going to get greenlit. 80% of the Brisbane Broncos members, Scotty, all reside in Ipswich. So right? I could single-handedly destroy the Broncos with part ownership of this team. Great heritage, mate. Like they're an old club. Tommy Raudonikis, not a lot of people know, Tommy Raudonikis coached this team to a grand final, nearly a grand final win. Obviously, the Alan Langer, the Walters, There's a plethora of players that have come through Ipswich. It's a hardcore rugby league town, blue collar, very similar to that of Newcastle. If you picked up Ipswich and put it near a beach, it's Newcastle basically. So yeah, if I had some funds, mate, and I wanted to do a little bit of Matty Johns and it wasn't the Newcastle Knights, that's where I'll be putting it, mate. What about you?
Ooh, I mean, I'm a sucker for basketball and kind of the razzle dazzle. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd probably honestly, I'd love a share in like the Illawarra Hawks or one of maybe just some new NBL or NBA team that hasn't been sort of thought of yet and kind of buy into something new. I like building brands and making things from scratch.
Scotty bringing back the Falcons, wasn't that the thing?
Yeah, well, there's a good shout. So there's a guy who I follow on LinkedIn. Actually, he's a local creative in Newcastle, and for about 2 years, he's kind of been running this like mini undercover campaign to try to bring back the Falcons. And he's got, I don't know if he's got IP around the club or if it's more just around what the brand would look like and why the club's needed in Newcastle. I think it's a great shout. I mean, it's a great heritage brand. I don't know much about the history of the club and how far it goes back. If it was one of the original NBL clubs, I think the Illawarra Hawks are the only ones left standing that are original, that are an original club from the
founding club.
Thank you for founding club in the competition.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, that's an excellent shout. I mean, that's a really good call. Yes, the Newcastle Falcons. That'd be
Scotty's bringing back the Falcons. You heard it here.
Love it. All right, hey, we'll go around the grounds next, but first, you know what makes a meal taste even better, mate? Paying less.
Absolutely. So grab your mates, bring your appetite, and head to Wests New Lambton, Cardiff, Mayfield, City, or Nelson's Bay for a Savvy Saver meal.
Yes, because at Wests, the Savvy Saver meal means $15.90 for members only price meals, Monday to Thursday, lunch or dinner, big servings, no surprises, just good food at a great deal for full Wests members.
Now, that deal runs out until November 27. So find out more by visiting mywest.com.au.
And a big thanks to the West Group for sponsoring this podcast. Now, let's go around the grounds and check out some of the other sports that we're watching this off-season. And it is very hard to see Oscar Piastri being able to win the Formula One championship now. We've talked about it a couple of times in the hope that we might start to cheer the Aussie home. But he had another bad weekend in Brazil. He crashed out of the sprint and he finished fifth in the main race behind Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Lando's now outscored him in the last 5 race weekends, and he's closed the gap. He's now in front. Oscar's now sitting a pretty sort of sad second with no momentum for really what's looking like, the last 4 or 5 races in the season. There's not long to go, and it's starting to look like Lando may run away with it. I think there's a good chance that Max could actually come over the top of Oscar if he can't kind of pull a couple of good performances out of the hat. He's gaining on Oscar as well. So it's a bit of a shame. He's still only very young, but he had a really great chance at winning a Formula One title at a very young age, and it would have been.
Would he have been the youngest?
He's like 23.
I would say, would he have been the youngest to win it had he have done it, or has it been?
I'm not sure. It'd be close. It'd be a close run thing. He would have been
was he unlucky or inside his own head or a bit of A, bit of B?
A little bit of both of those, and I think probably a little bit of favoritism. You got to remember that Lando is the driver that has been with that team now for 6 or 7 years. They've invested in him heavily, and I think if in their heart of hearts they would want, of course, either of them to win, but they would be probably a bit disappointed if Lando didn't get there first, given, he's the favourite. He's the one they've put all the money in. McLaren's a British team and he's a British driver. I think whether it's like intended or like just inherent in like some of the decisions they're making and not doing it on purpose, but I think he's being favoured. And I think also, over the weekend in Brazil, he had a bit of bad luck as well. So it's just not really going his way. There is still a chance he could come back and take the title, but it isn't looking great. Another young Aussie though that is doing some really good stuff. in the world of football is an 18-year-old from Manchester United who's been called into our national squad. They're playing games in Texas and in New York this weekend against Venezuela. Hopefully Trump hasn't heard or seen this because he's not loving Venezuela at the moment, so us having a friendly with them is probably not very Trumpy. I don't think he'd like that. Also playing against Colombia. So this young Aussie kid is a guy called James Overy. He turns 18 this weekend, and he's played for Australia in the Under-20 World Cup last year. He's a defender. He's doing so well at Manchester United at the moment that he's actually been called up by Ruben Amorim, the club coach, to train with the first team, which is a pretty big deal in English football. And so good signs for us having a young player coming through and possibly another top-line Aussie player playing in the Premier League, which we haven't had much of for some time.
Would this guy, Scotty, be probably the next big thing for you on the radar, or has he got a little way to go, or do you think, nah, this guy's going to be, Socceroos captain or something like that? Or
I think it's a little too early to tell. I saw Mark Bosnich this week, who played for Manchester United as well, talking about not wanting to put too much pressure on him and all that sort of stuff. And it's what they all usually say. But let's see how he goes in these friendlies. Often a young player can burst onto the scene and do really, really well. And then it's just a case of, what happens from there, especially given, he's getting his chance now. And, the coach, Tony Popovich, is testing 11 new players in this squad of 25. So he's doing the opposite of what Kevin Walters did. He's actually testing a bunch of new combinations and some young players to see what they've got, what they offer, so that when the World Cup comes around next year, we've got some options. Of course, we've already qualified. It's 20 years this week, actually, since we qualified in 2005 for the 2006 World Cup, that incredible moment at Stadium Australia when we won on penalties. John Aloisi scored that goal, and remember he took his shirt off and ran around Stadium Australia. That's 20 years, and we've been performing at a high level for a long, long time. That was what was called the golden generation of Australian football. I think we're now we've had a bit of a patch where we haven't had as many great players. We haven't had as many players in top-line footy, and with this World Cup coming in 12 months or so, I think it's going to be a really interesting time to watch, to see some of these younger players coming through and what they can do. That's on the young side of things. There's still some really old farts kicking around in football. And to be fair, they're really great players. Cristiano Ronaldo, football's or sports first billionaire. He's 40 and still playing at a very high level, club football in Saudi Arabia, and he still plays for Portugal, the national team. And he is very well known for looking after his body with the right food and recovery. And he's always, since he was very young, done a ridiculous amount of exercise, like you wouldn't believe. And there's a reason why he looks the way he does, but he's also like a bit of a mental freak with the amount of work that he puts his body through. LeBron James is another one. He's 41 now, mate. He's in his 23rd, I think it is, season of the NBA. He missed the start of this season, which is about 6 weeks old now, 5 or 6 weeks old, due to a bit of an injury, but he's on the comeback trail. Have you seen that Netflix show, Starting Five? It was him and 4 other blokes who basically they let a couple of camera crew into them and follow them around during a season, and then we sort of got to see these really high profile players and how they prepare and what their home life is like. Really good show. If you haven't seen it, I'd say definitely check it out. About 10 years ago, it was reported that he spends about $1.5 million US on keeping his body in shape every year so he can stay on the court. That's 1.5. That's like 3 million Aussie dollars every year. Now, in that show that I was talking about, the Starting Five, he kind of laughed that off. He was asked by one of the producers, whether that was true or not. He laughed it off. But I've read a bit this week about some of his biohacking regime and some of the stuff that he does do. He undertakes cryotherapy to decrease chronic inflammation. He spends about 90 minutes a week in a hyperbaric chamber to enhance blood flow and minimize swelling. He uses red light therapy, the sort of stuff like you see in saunas now, that is it's taking over a little bit, but he's been doing that a while. He also wears those, have you seen them really big compression boots? They're like, you pull them all the way up to sort of your groin, and they kind of they get air blown into them, and they sort of compress your legs.
Oh,
cool air.
Yep.
So he uses those, and he also, his coach, his like fitness coach says that, he's got to have his off days. They're vital for physical and mental recovery. And he also limits his screen time, which would be a tough one for you, mate, I know. But he says that that's super important for his well-being. And he prioritizes sleep over everything else. It's funny because, like, I don't know about you, like I don't really have time in my day or my life to like be napping and stuff like that, having a sleep during the day. When I used to do breakfast radio many, many years ago, it was hard not to have a sleep during the day because you're just up so early and it wrecks you. I know you work some funny hours as well, but like, the day that these guys spend, obviously they're priming towards like a nighttime basketball game. So I could kind of understand having a nap to like be fresh and ready for the nighttime, but it's just so foreign, isn't it?
Oh, it's pretty incredible when you think about like how far you can push the human body. Like if someone were to say that this was what athletes would be doing, what even 20 years ago, you'd be like, what is this? But just goes to show, I know these guys are on mega bucks. So it's chump change really. And what an investment, like to spend $3 million to keep you at peak performance up until 40, 41 years old is absolutely wild. But yeah, it just goes to show you like, the money these guys are on, mate, you can understand why on earth they're pouring that money back into their own bodies.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm partial to the odd sauna or massage. I mean, it's great when you can find the time. But I mean, that's what most of his days are like. Massage, sauna, snooze around lunchtime on match day, stretching in the afternoon. Not bad. Although he probably doesn't get to enjoy a beer too often or eat too much sort of sugary or fatty food, which it's a bit of fun every now and then, isn't it?
That reminds me, who was that guy? It was a basketball player. He's a pretty well-known basketball player, and he was having a beer after like a playoff win or they just won it with his dad, and that GM guy come up and snatched off him. Did you remember that?
Really? No.
Yeah, he was kind of just having a beer with his dad, celebrating, and the guy like sneakily just took it off him, and the guy just like,
snapped it out of his hand.
Such a different culture to us over here, the beers in the sheds after a game and whatnot. But yeah, wow, that's mate. I would love to know how far I could get as a podcast if I could just adapt that into my routine. If I could spend $3 million on my body and commit to this schedule, I'd be absolutely in perfect form, mate, every day.
You'd just be live streaming your life.
Oh, mate.
Or performing, you'd be in peak condition.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Ready to rock at any moment.
I was going to ask you before we wrap up, it's very clear we're not elite athletes, but how do you wind down and relax?
Mate, he's taken a leaf out of my book. I love hitting up the sauna and steam rooms. I genuinely, for years, I love it, mate. We've spoken about it off air.
Yeah.
It's just a good unwind time. I know I'm glued to my screen given what I do.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of detox. I can detach, just sweat out all those toxins. If I've had a big weekend celebrating the Kangaroos, pumping the English, getting all that alcohol out of my pores or whatnot, whatever's coming out of my body, mate, it feels good. But yeah, I love that. In cold showers, cold plunges, mate. It just gets you going, Scotty. What about you?
It does. It's similar actually. It's so funny. Like some of the stuff that we'll do now for rest and relaxation and to kind of get our bodies feeling good. I wouldn't have even thought of it even 10 years ago. But mate, I love jumping into the ocean when it's a bit colder and getting that sort of shock. And when you like jump into a wave and then you come up and there's like those like the bubbles behind the wave and you kind of pop up through that kind of effervescence. Yeah. I love that. I think that always feels great. You're alive when you're in the surf. And then similar like infrared saunas. I've discovered them this year and really, really enjoying a bit of a sweat session and that time out. The one that I use at my gym, it's got a Bluetooth speaker built into it. So I've got to make sure I don't make the mistake of like listening to podcasts and doing stuff that's like, not very mindful. Like you want relaxing music on and just chill out and give your brain a break. And I don't do that often enough, but a sauna is a very good place to do that, to have a relax and get set again for what's to come.
Yeah, it just the one thing, and if you're listening to this, take note, it drives me nuts, Scotty, when you're just in there trying to relax and you get two people in there talking about their lives and their problems. And I was like, I don't want to, I'm trying to tune out this. I don't care about who did what to you when, or your manager at work. I don't care. It's just a place just to switch off, just turn off, Close
they do need a sign. No small talk. No small talk. No, I don't want to hear about your life. I don't even want to talk to you. Just you chill over there and I'll chill over here.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
All right, mate. Well, that's it for the off-season this week, brought to you by the West Group, Newcastle and the Hunters, one-of-a-kind dining and entertainment venue. We thank them for sponsoring the show. Of course, members enjoy $6 happy hours every day from 4 till 6. I love a cold beer down at the local leagues club here. And when I'm in Newcastle, I do the same at Wests. Remember, if you join by December 31, you get a $10 voucher, so you can make the most of those daily savings and those happy hours from 4 till 6. You can catch this show every week on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll be back next week. In the meantime, thanks, Lincoln, and enjoy your off-season.